Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's Middle East update. Just a reminder that this PDF PowerPoint behind me is available as a link on the YouTube page. It will come without my head in the way. So let's jump in. What a week. In all honesty, I don't know who is not totally frustrated with the situations that we're facing today. But we're going to take a look at things and again, trust that God is in control, that He's not caught off guard. So we always start with our news bites. Again, this is sort of like hit the repeat button. Trump basically said that he was going to order strikes that would force surrender from Iran. And U.S. citizens have been warned to leave the Middle East. And then, of course, Tehran says that countries that are aiding the U.S. are at risk, being engulfed by, quote, flames of war. Conflicting reports on both sides. What's Israel's role in the midst of all of this? These, like I said, hit the repeat button. Now, this is of great concern. Iran actually thinks it's won the war, and now the focus is on Christians. Christians are going to pay a price, according to Iran. They have published a list of, quote, hostile media organizations, including multiple Christian evangelical-based broadcasts outside of Iran. And so again, people that I know personally and trust, it seems as if they're being targeted or at least being threatened at this time. We're gonna, again, these are news bites, and so there's a little bit of everything. It's not quite the majestic river of God that we read about in Ezekiel, but interestingly enough, there are some freshwater pools that are filled with life appearing in the sinkholes near the Dead Sea. Again, this is sort of setting prophecy watchers above, or abuzz, I guess you would say. Interesting. I've seen a video now of expeditions or boating expeditions on the Dead Sea. I've never seen that before. And again, fish in these sinkholes. Again, back to news bites. While Trump sort of, blusters and Netanyahu sort of spins, the real question is it possible that Iran is on the brink of having a nuclear weapon? I know all the rhetoric, I know, no, they can't, or whatever, but one wonders of their chutzpah in the midst of all of this. I wonder if they are close. And I'm not the only one wondering this, by the way. And then, of course, in the midst of all this, let's not forget Hamas. Hamas has agreed to disarm, but why is Israel so concerned about Gaza, Hamas, etc.? And I think it's important that we realize the impact or the verbiage or the empty words or the insignificant of ceasefires. So our major article, again, as I mentioned, let's hit the repeat button. Here we go again. Trump announced that he's decided to, and this is over the last 2 days. Trump announced that he's decided to call off the planned attack on Iran after what he's described as outlines of a new agreement between the sides that are close, are imminent, or whatever, the threat of something along the levels of World War II, but now he's backed off. Now, in the midst of all that, when we hear about this imminent ceasefire negotiations. Iran quickly rejects Trump's account. And again, their media commentators that are affiliated with the Iranian regime basically say, by now everybody knows that this is fake news with Trump. He's actually just backing down. And so that was the spin 2 days ago. And now Trump says he and Israel have called off this Iranian strike after being assured that the deal is imminent. And again, hit the repeat button. In a nutshell, once again, tensions in the Middle East are at their peak. We've got the Qataris, we got the Pakistanians that are trying to stop the inevitable. Meanwhile, the Iranian regime keeps issuing threats in every possible direction, except they haven't hit Israel. They know better than that at this point in time. So it seems like almost every weekend, it's sort of the exact same pattern. My friend Amir basically said, there's nothing new under the sun. The American side doesn't want to resume the war. The Iranian regime doesn't want to change its ways. The Qataris and Pakistanians continue to play the double game. And Israel remains on the sideline. But then there's this new development of the Board of Peace with Gaza. Hamas says it will not disarm until Israel withdraws, and Israel says it will not withdraw until Hamas disarms. There's nothing new under the sun. Again, when we mention this turning in their weapons and Hamas, we're coming up on August 9th, not October, on August 9th, remembering the Sbarro pizza during the Intifada, August 9th, 2001, suicide bombing, okay? This is deep within the consciousness of Israelis. This Intifada, and so when we talk about Hamas disarming, it doesn't take away the legacy of hate. So there's 2 articles here for you to read, but keep in mind this Palestinian suicide bombing at a pizzeria downtown Jerusalem, August 9th, 2001, it killed 16 people, including 7 children, a pregnant woman, and there were 130 people that were injured. I never want to give credit or talk about the terrorists, so I'm going to let you read that on your own. Again, we have to understand what's being said. We kind of put it this way, we need to hear what's not being said. And what's not being said is the truth, that Palestinians are Palestine, or Hamas, the martyrdom, death, is dearer to their hearts than their children. Again, this legacy of hate will never go away, whether Hamas, turns in their weapons or not. And then an article about Fatah and Hamas. Sometimes Fatah is painted sort of as the moderates, and we're just waiting for the opportunity to set up a new government. And this always brings up the whole concept of a 2-state solution. But you have to understand this legacy, this jihadist, martyrdom, terrorist mindset. Fatah and Hamas are not different. Fatah's conflict with Hamas is not ideological. It's not that they have a moral dispute. It's a political struggle over who gets to sit on top. It's a leadership issue. It's a control issue. Okay, so the Palestinian Authority, their spokesman stated explicitly that he was asking Hamas to change its approach. Put it this way, he's not asking Hamas to change its approach, its doctrine, or its thinking. These are the spokesmen for this moderate, for the Palestinian Authority. They do not condemn the October 7th atrocities, nor Hamas's terrorism or the goal of destroying Israel. Once again, the PLO, the Palestinian Authority, insists that Hamas should join them and create this sort of Fatah Hamas umbrella organization that then would rule the Gaza Strip. And then what? To do October 7th again and again and again. That's the bottom line. No difference between Hamas and Fatah. Now let's come back to our shores, okay? The New York City Mayor, Zohran Mamdani, right? He needs to be held accountable for his incitement against Israel and the Jews. We are being overwhelmed by this global tsunami of lies and the rise of hatred of Jews. Again, an article basically says, flanked by the U.S. and New York City flags, the mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, packed so many lies about Israel into a 2-minute video that he sounded like Nasrallah, again, the late Nasrallah on double speed. Mamdani proclaimed that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was a war criminal, the architect of genocide, responsible for killing more than 73,000 people in Gaza, for maiming tens of thousands of children, for targeting hospitals, for blocking food and aid, and for gunning down hundreds of aid workers and journalists. This is the mayor of New York City. It's time to be held accountable for these lies, this tsunami of lies. And then we have the United States and Israel. What is happening? Again, we're back on our shores. Something seems to be grinding in the relationship between the White House and the Prime Minister's office since the Iran war has become complicated. The president's circle of influence seems to be much narrower, and Israel seems to be kind of put off on the sidelines. The Americans are making it clear to the Israelis that they're running the war and that everything's fine, thank you. But everyone knows that Israel is being relegated, in a sense, to the back seat. I keep waiting to see the what's next. And now with these negotiations projected to be, 10 days, 2 weeks? It's here we go again. Hit the repeat button. And finally, we'll end with something that I think is very concerning. J.D. Vance, the bottom line with Vance, and this is from an Israeli perspective, the common feeling or reading of Vance in Israel is that Vance's American first policy literally is translated as Israel last. Israel last. And all that he's saying that's coming out now from his voice does little to dispel this belief among Israelis. his media appearances once again. This Israel last mentality is coming through loud and clear. So that's where we're at. The week that was, right? Looking back over the last week, and as I mentioned before, tough, discouraging, but God is truly in control. Never, ever, ever forget that. So with that, this is Dan, Middle East Update. God bless you and shalom.